Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Practice Gratitude Success Show. Thank you so much for coming here. I mean, I see everybody over in the chat. People are popping in right now. Len's here. Len Mooney's here. Len's going to be in San Diego later on today. He'll come here to spend a week. He does that a lot of times. Lisa, thank you for coming here this morning. I appreciate that. My friend Claire, who's my neighbor, she's just right around the block. Thank you so much for being here. Tara, thank you. Everybody just popping in right now. Thank you so much. I got a great show for you today. A person who's been a friend of mine for several years, and we know each other through the whole brain injury connection thing. I had a brain injury, obviously, with the stroke that I had back in 2006, and my guest co-host today, Debbie Hampton, had a brain injury today too that she's going to be talking about. And now Debbie's got this amazing blog website out there called The Best Brain Possible. But let me just read her little introduction to what she sent me today, and then I can give you more of what she said. Debbie Hampton recovered from decades of unhealthy thinking. Now that's a big thing for a lot of us, isn't it? And depression, a suicide attempt resulting in brain injury, to become an inspirational and educational writer on brain, psychological, emotional, and mental health issues on her website, The Best Brain Possible. I love this. I've been sharing her stuff for years and years and years. Well, Debbie shares how she rebuilt her brain, her life, to find joy and how to thrive. She wants you to know that you can do it too. You can quickly learn the steps to be a better you in her book, Beat Depression and Anxiety by Changing Your Brain, with simple practices easy to implement in your daily life. Improve your brain and Debbie, I'm so excited, after reading that, I forgot. I didn't even know that you had a book out there. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. We get so busy, but anyway, Debbie, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's been so long, and so just thank you for being here.
Thank you, Bob. It's long overdue. We've tried to get together several times, and just haven't for one reason or another.
I know, and a big question I have, Debbie, is a lot of us get this thinking. We get this negative thinking going on in our head, our brain, bad things, and then you had this, obviously, and you said you were in a state of depression, and then you did something, because you were tired of it all, and then because of that, it got worse. You got a brain injury as a result of it. So if things weren't bad enough before, so you were depressed before, things were bad, things really sucked, and now add that on top of the mix. Now on top of that bad stuff, you've got a brain injury. How did you pull yourself out of this? How did you get yourself out of that hole?
Well, as you may know, I mean, immediately after the brain injury, I wasn't conscious or aware enough to really even know how to improve or even want to.
Right.
My thinking was very impaired. I couldn't talk. All I could do is make sounds. And physically, I was somewhat impaired. My manual dexterity was almost nothing. And I mean, I had to relearn how to walk and all that kind of stuff. But eventually, I mean, my brain healed itself on its own, like your brain will do, for about a year. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of plateaued, and I was like, I am not living like this. If I have to live, it's not going to be like this. And I read the book by Norman Deutsch, The Brain That Changes Itself.
Yep, I read it.
And in that book are all kinds of personal stories of people that were born with brain impairments, a woman born with half a brain injuries, all kinds of things. And it was how these people healed their brains. And it was all about neuroplasticity, which is basically your brain can rewire and change its form and function based on what you do in your life, your behaviors, and even your thoughts. So after reading that, I was like, not only is this a manual telling me that it can be done, but it's telling me exactly how to do it. So from that point on, I started exercising every day and doing what I could to direct neuroplastic change, and started rewiring my brain through my thoughts, through meditation, mindfulness, thought reframing. I mean, I started living my life to change my brain and heal my brain and my emotions and my physical deficits.
That's all. That's amazing. That is so cool, Debbie, that you took charge. Now, one word term that I never liked, you know, to the whole brain injury thing is the word plateau. And you just mentioned it. You felt yourself plateau, but that's not the end. Plateau doesn't mean the end.
What I took it to mean was every time I plateaued or stalled and quit seeing results, I took it to mean that was time to start doing something different. I mean, I actually thought you can turn your thinking around to see it as a good thing. I mean, it means you've accomplished what you could accomplish there. And it's time to seek out something different to change your brain. Your brain responds to your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if it's already changed regarding what you're doing, you need to challenge it to change and grow again.
Exactly. I love that. I love that because in the medical community, like they'll say, okay, after like stroke survivors, okay, you've plateaued, and then it's like, okay, then people feel like the lid is on now. That's it. I'm where I'm supposed to be, and then that's it. And that's where they stay. They in their own mind they stay there. But you say now it's time. Now it's time when that happens to take it to another level.
Right. And I actually got to where, I mean, if something was challenging for me, for instance, my manual dexterity, that look at that as a neon sign flashing, telling you that's where you need to work and focus your efforts to make neuroplastic change. For instance, I mean, using my left hand, my whole left side, because I'm right-handed, was very challenging at first. So I actually would wear my right arm in a sling. It's called TOB, named after, I think, Charles Taub, the scientist who discovered it. Therapy, TOB therapy. And what you do is you restrain your good hand,
right,
so that it forces you to use your left hand. And the more I used it over time, the more my brain made those connections, and it became more usable.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm still guilty of it because I have a weak left hand. I'm still guilty. I will do things, open doorknobs and things like that, but I don't even type. Right after I had the stroke back in 2006, I wrote a book in 2008 called Stroke Sucked. I wrote my book. I never published it, but it was good for me. It was good for, but I typed it with my left hand. I most of the typing I did with my affected, my bad hand, but it took me so damn long. And now because it's so affected, I still don't use it because I figure I wasn't good with it before the damn. I didn't use my left hand that much for typing, so I'm just a one finger typer. I give myself, I'm okay with that because I make so many mistakes. I can't afford the time to relearn that on the keyboard. So I said that. So you know, I had a fellow on here last week called Frank, fantastic Frank Johnson. He's a brain injury survivor. And fantastic Frank, he's like a superhero. Wears the big F on his shirt, and he has a term called is the squeeze worth the juice? I mean, is it worth it? All the effort that you got to put into it. So I mean, I applaud you for actually going to that restraint therapy, to tying up your good arm, unaffected arm, and then so forcing yourself to use your other hand. That's amazing. You are way stronger than I am. That's amazing.
Well, but it was basically not usable. I mean, I had to do that.
Right. Exactly. I know how. I used to get my arm caught in doorknobs all the time. I said, why can't I move? Why can't I go anywhere? The arm, oh, your arm's stuck in a doorknob. I wouldn't even know. I didn't even know it. Didn't even realize it. Didn't even know why it was stuck. It's so funny. It's so cool.
My manual dexterity is still not normal. And when I type on the keyboard, my hands are really stiff, and I call it like the claw. And my son said, Mom, your hands look funny when you type. But it's better than not being able to type at all, which I could. I mean, at first I could only use one finger. So I'll take it.
But you're doing it. That's the cool thing is that regardless, you're doing it, and you not only are you doing it, not only have you gone beyond a plateau, but you've taken it to a whole nother level. I mean, for years now, Debbie, I've been. And you, as you well know, I share a lot of your stuff on Facebook. It'll pop up in my news feed. Your one of your awesome posts about the brain, usually about the brain. And I've been sharing your stuff for years and years and years. How did you develop that whole the Best Brain Possible blog? And that's how did that whole thing begin?
Well, I mean, I originally loved writing when I was younger. And I was actually good at it. But I majored in business in college because it was the sensible thing to do. And I never pursued writing. And after the brain injury, my brother reminded me that, and he said, why don't you start a blog? So originally I started the blog documenting all the things that I was doing to recover. And no doctors told me this stuff at all. As a matter of fact, a lot told me the opposite.
Exactly, yeah.
And I wanted other people to know this stuff. And I should clarify also by saying I didn't just recover by doing my neuroplastic exercises. I also did a lot of alternative therapies. I did hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and I still do it.
What was that?
Every other week.
What was that?
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is where you get in the oxygen tank.
Mm-hmm.
And I did neurofeedback extensively. I mean, for years. And I did acupuncture, I did craniosacral massage, and I exercised every day. And that's probably the best thing you can do to promote the growth of new brain cells. I mean, exercise is probably the best thing you can do for your brain and body.
Amen. I agree.
And I also did like meditation. And that actually changes your brain physically. So it's a combination of all these things. And I started documenting these on a blog because I wanted other people to know that whether they had a brain injury or a stroke or are depressed or have anxiety or whatever, your brain is the product of your life and your decisions. And I mean, yes, there are certain things you cannot change that are genetic, or there are certain like injuries that you cannot overcome, but you never know until you try. Exactly. And medical professionals, I get this all the time on my posts. They like to comment underneath and say that they wouldn't be so enthusiastic or so, I don't know, positive. But I say, okay, no, it's not. You're not going to experience dramatic, fantastic change in all circumstances. But how do you know until you try?
Exactly. And I always wondered that myself, why, like what do they have to gain by telling people that they can't do things? Because I mean, they told me the same
Exactly.
thing. They said I would if I lived. They told this to my wife at the time. If I did live, I probably would never walk ever again. And then I thought that I was like one of the only ones. But they said it to everybody. They said,
Oh yeah.
it's like they put a lid on you because they said they don't want to build up your expectations. Well, why not? Why not build up your expectations? Well, they don't want you to feel bad later. Screw that. The only way you're going to succeed something is by going after it. You know what I mean?
Try.
Yeah, I could never
And
understand it.
our minds create our realities. If
Exactly.
you think you can't do something, then you're not going to do it.
Yep.
Now, I don't pretend to think that you can just have thoughts of doing something and you'll automatically do it. But neuroplastically, your thoughts actually change your brain. They change your cells. They change your genes and how your genes are expressed. So if you're thinking that you can't, and you're automatically putting a limit on yourself, then how likely is it that you're going to be able to achieve anything, or that you would even try?
You will achieve what you will achieve that nothing. You'll achieve nothing. You know, Henry
Right.
Ford said, "Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right." Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're never going to win a lottery unless you buy a lottery ticket. You know, it's just you have to put that thing of action in there, no matter what it is. You have to put action in it. You can't, if you sit around and wait for the universe to deliver it, that's not going to happen either. But you have to start with the thought of yes, you can. Start with that, and then like what you did all these different things. You did all these things. You didn't just say, okay, I just did this. I just said it. You didn't say, okay, I took this one pill. No, you did. You named about 5 things that you've done and continue to do, and most of those things are free, like exercise, meditation, belief in yourself, taking action. Those things you don't have to buy anything there. Just get up and freaking move. You know. And Debbie, how?
Every day that we get up, we're changing our brains with what we do, what we focus on, what we put in our bodies, and you will not see change overnight. I mean, you're actually growing new connections in your brain.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, recovering from a brain injury takes years. And I mean, even if you just want to change a habit, it can take a long time, but it can be done. And like you said, it doesn't require anything expensive. It doesn't require going to the doctor. What it requires is your effort, your intention, and your persistence.
Exactly. Totally. Now, one of the things, in fact, maybe and I don't want to ever say don't go to a doctor. I don't ever want to say that if it wasn't for
Oh,
the
I
medical. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the medical community, I mean, I wouldn't be alive because I had my brain was a bleed, so I was bleeding. Was brainy. It was like brain was blood was pouring into my brain, and so they injected me with a coagulant, something that would stop the bleeding that they usually give to people called Noble 7. To give it to people in soldiers that are bleed to death in a battlefield. It stops the bleed. So if the doctors didn't come in and do that to me, I mean, I would have just bled out and I would have just died. So I don't ever want to say bad about them. They do. The medical community does miracles. They perform miracles, but after they stop the bleeding, you know, now it's up to us, because if we listen to them, they maybe to read old books or something. I don't know what their thing is, or they want to keep in the system or whatever. But there's so much more. You just look at your example. Look what you've done. Look what you're doing. Look at the thousands of people whose lives you're impacting with your blog. You've got over 50,000 people liking your blog right now. That's a lot. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thanks.
And
I can't impress upon people. I mean, just like simple things like sleep can make a huge difference in your life and your brain. Sleep is the most important thing to your brain. And how many people these days cheat themselves out of a good night's sleep?
I don't know. I don't. I like
Too many.
I'm a
Too
big
many. You're big. You don't get enough sleep.
No, I'm a big fan of sleep. I love sleep.
Me too.
I wake up early. I wake up very early, but I go to bed early. So I'm a big fan of sleep.
And I'm a big fan of naps, and they also help your brain.
Mm-hmm. And you said meditation as well. That's a bit something else. You meditate every day?
I do.
Okay.
Stress management is another thing that can really affect your brain. Stress over time, chronic stress damages your brain.
Oh, absolutely.
And meditation is one way that I deal with that. Meditation decreases the effects of stress, and it allows me to deal with my emotions, my thoughts, and it allows me to open my mind and focus on possibilities. It becomes more of a time about health and mental wellness and nourishing myself than any big philosophical thing. I consider it a mental health tool. To me, it's not some airy-fairy religious thing.
Exactly. That can kind of control you, kind of keep you inside of a box, limit you.
Right.
No, so Tara over here, she said she loves sleep, but sleep doesn't love her. What is there any help for people who? Because I know several people who really have a difficult time sleeping. Is there anything that you recommend that you found that helps people sleep?
Oh yeah. If you exercise, you'll sleep much better. Meditation also really helps with sleep. When you wake up at night and can't go back to sleep, that's the perfect time to practice meditation. When you're laying there in bed, start counting your breaths. And when you find your mind spiraling out of control to going to other thoughts, bring it back and focus again on your breath. And it's going to run away again, but bring it back. That's the whole point of meditation, is just learning to control your mind. But I guarantee you, if you'll practice good sleep hygiene, for instance, don't bring your computer or do anything in your sleep environment but sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to eat right before bed. And what else? Oh, if you exercise every day, it'll greatly improve your sleep. It'll make you calm. I tell you what, I love to do yoga. And my favorite time is to do it at night because I sleep so good after that.
Interesting. And you want to stay away from certain things too, like television.
Right.
Yeah.
Things that are going to amp you up and excite you.
Yeah, like watch the nightly news. I remember I used to do that. I used to watch the nightly news before I went to bed. Then I would watch the news when I woke up in the morning and read the newspaper.
I bet you had nightmares.
Oh my God. Oh my God. My life is so much different now than years ago when I used to do things like that. I was like, why put that stuff?
I don't even have cable.
Well, I have cable, obviously, because I don't. How do you watch? How are you doing this if you don't have cable? How are you on here? Your phone?
Well, I have internet.
Yeah.
I don't have cable TV.
Okay. Yeah. I don't even watch TV at all. It's just it's so it's so important to move towards the things that are good for you and away from the things that aren't. And it's really that simple, isn't it, Debbie?
It is. I mean, it's like your show. You have a choice to appreciate what's in your life, show gratitude, appreciation, which also changes your brain. Or you can focus on what's bad, and that's only going to increase your stress and your anxiety and your depression. And that's totally what I used to do. I had so much good in my life, and I didn't even realize it. I was making myself sick.
Exactly. And people do that all the time. One of the things I recommend is just write a love letter to yourself. Because we've all done wonderful things. I mean, think about it. How many bad things have we done? We've all done stuff we're not proud of. We've all done some things. Oh, shucks, I wish I didn't do that. But look at all the good things. We've probably done like about 1,000 times more good than bad. But what do we focus on? What were you focusing on when you were depressed?
Oh, the bad.
You weren't focused on anything good. I know that for a fact. You know, you would, of course. And so people do that stuff, don't they? They go there and they focus. They bring up. They think they're thoughts, but they're not really thoughts. They're memories, and we keep going through the same old memories over and over and over again.
And Bob, that physically changes your brain.
It does, absolutely.
I mean, it just creates more of that.
Exactly. Do you have any, like, a gratitude journal or anything like that where you actually practice gratitude yourself?
I don't have a journal because it's hard for me to write.
Okay.
But I do in my meditation. I mean, I call it actually my healing time. And I do affirmations. And I usually every day list things that I'm thankful for in my life, people, things. And when we start looking for it, it's amazing how much there is to be thankful for.
Isn't that amazing? Because it's all around us. There's so much good. There's so much good. Like, people will say to me, well, there's so much negativity on Facebook or whatever. So I don't see it. I don't. I swear to God, I don't see it because I'm not looking for that stuff. You know, if you look for the good, you're going to find the good. If you look for the bad, you'll find the bad.
Well, I mean, I don't pretend to stick my head in the sand and say there's not bad out there. But I don't want to focus on it or give it energy. What you can do is send it compassion and good energy. And at least that lets you feel like you're doing something constructive.
Love it. I love it. Exactly. Yeah, you can't. You're not saying that these things don't exist. There's a lot of stuff out there, but you don't have to focus on it. Just send it love. Send it good positive energy. I love that. That is wonderful. Debbie, how can people get a hold? What's the best way? What's the name of your book again? What is the name of your book?
Okay, I've got one book out, and it's called Beat Depression and Anxiety by Changing Your Brain. Okay. And it basically tells, like, the science side of how neuroplasticity works to change your brain, both good and bad, and things you can do. Like we said, things that don't cost money that you can practice every day in your life to change your brain for the better. But it also includes like therapies that you can pay and alternative, like cognitive behavioral therapy and stuff, neurofeedback and stuff like that. And then I've got another book that's going to be out this June, which is my memoir. And it has a little bit of the Better Brain info, but it's more of my personal story and how I got to where I wanted to commit suicide and how I view life now. And it's called Sex, Suicide, and Serotonin.
All right. I would definitely got to read that book.
Well, it's about how these things almost killed me and then ultimately healed me.
Wow, amazing. That's so cool.
I'll publish it in June.
Okay, that's awesome. That is so cool. You're my hero. I mean, I've been following you for years. I mean, I adore you. I think you're amazing. What is the way to get the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, if you go to my website, bestbrainpossible.com, there's a contact page where you can contact me, or you can just send me an email to thebestbrainpossible@gmail.com. And I'll personally respond.
I'm going to put that in there right now. Type in thebestbrainpossible.com. Boom. Hope the link pops up. Yep, it popped up. So cool. Awesome. That is so cool. Debbie, you are amazing. You're simply amazing. We are out of time, but you have to come back.
That's hard to believe.
you have to come back again, and whenever we'll talk about it, but definitely come back, because we didn't even scratch the surface for the thing, the value that you can give. You've got, so you can go to your blog. You go. The blog on Facebook is the same name, The Best Brain Possible. I shared it, and I'll be sharing more things. I'll share it in the video when it comes out today. I'll share it in my blog when it comes out today. So there'll be a lot of ways to get a hold of Debbie, or just look her up on Facebook. She's just an amazing person. She has so much value. Right now, she got 50,000 people on her, and that's all organic traffic too, isn't it? It's like you didn't pay for all that stuff. That's all people just finding you on.
No, but I've had this for 7 years.
Yeah, I know.
So it's slowly built.
I know. I've been following you for that long. So this chick's got some cool stuff to share here. This, helping people with brain injury do better in life, and you were such a light of energy. I love everything that you bring to the world. It's like you're just incredible. Well, thank you, Debbie, so much for being here. Thank everybody for coming here today and being able to let Debbie share her gift with you. Make sure you reach out to her and follow her blog. It's awesome. Follow her page on Facebook, The Best Brain Possible. So again, thank you so much, Debbie. So we'll talk to you real soon then.
Thank you, Bob, and everybody else.
And tomorrow on the show tomorrow, every Thursday, I have a lady named Priscilla McMillan. Priscilla I call her the passionate, powerful, patient princess of prayer. She's Pastor P, and she comes in, and when she comes on, the hair on my arm stands up, because she's so passionate about everything that she does. But she's all into uplifting people, helping people become their best self, like you are. So that's so cool. But thank you again so much, Debbie. I love you, and we'll be talking to you real soon then. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming today. Bye-bye.